The shocking truth behind one of the biggest lawsuits against music mogul Diddy just exploded. And what makes it more disturbing is the fact that it's not just about him anymore where secrets get leaked. And truth is louder than fame, because in this unfolding storm, a former commercial worker named Michael Iwako has filed a lawsuit in California that's sending shockwaves across the internet. Not only is Diddy being sued, but major hotel chains like Wynn Resorts and Palazzo are being dragged into this as well. The claims are as dark as they get. And if true, could uncover an entire network of silence and power used to manipulate and destroy. This new lawsuit outlines that you, who says he met Diddy in 2018, was pulled into a dangerous world of coercion and sexual exploitation under the belief that he was participating in consensual activities, when in fact he alleges he was being trafficked between multiple luxury hotels, including the London Hotel in Los Angeles and the Palazzo and Wynn casinos in Las Vegas. According to his statement, he was manipulated into performing acts with Cassie and other women under Diddy's control, while Diddy reportedly never physically participated. He is said to have orchestrated and watched these acts, finding gratification in directing them, much like previous allegations, toward other controversial celebrities such as Kanye West. And this is where things turn even darker. Iwako says he was instructed to use a specific body oil supplied by Diddy himself, which he believes was laced with ghee, a known date rape drug, and claims he was unknowingly drugged during these encounters. He never consented to any drug use and states that he has since experienced severe emotional trauma and psychological distress. He goes on to reveal that hotel staff played a key role in the operation, booking rooms under aliases like Mr. Star and providing private access for Diddy and his associates. These employees are accused of assisting in prepping rooms, escorting individuals like you, removing suspicious substances afterward, all without ever reporting a single incident. In one particularly disturbing instance, Diddy allegedly paid hotel staff $100,000 in cash to suppress security footage, which adds an entire new layer to this growing legal disaster. The plaintiff claims all these events were recorded without his consent, further amplifying the trauma and aligning eerily with the testimonies of Cassie Jane Doe. During the recent trial, the central question becomes, if so many pieces of evidence and recurring claims exist, why weren't they presented during the actual criminal trial? How did so much seemingly credible information stay buried? And why are more alleged victims surfacing only now? Iwako explains that watching the trial unfold and seeing people celebrate the verdict pushed him into a deeper psychological spiral. The emotional weight of seeing victims dismissed, especially Cassie, who testified while pregnant and crying, was too much to bear for him, and now he wants justice. But this raises further questions about who's really being protected in these cases and who's being ignored, because while Cassie was ridiculed and doubted, there are now multiple civil lawsuits piling up from others who are saying the exact same thing as her, including male workers who claim the same drugged oil was used and similar acts were committed in the same hotels. Individuals. What makes this particular lawsuit unique is its inclusion of major luxury hotels as active participants, or at least enablers, of Diddy's alleged abuse. Iwako's claim is that they knowingly facilitated these acts and were possibly financially compensated to look the other way or actively assist. This potentially implicates an entire chain of staff management and security systems in a conspiracy that reaches beyond just the celebrity status of Diddy. But what's even more disturbing is that this isn't the only lawsuit now emerging related to Diddy. In a completely separate legal case filed in California, the company Roblox is also being sued for allegedly allowing inappropriate themed games involving Diddy freak-off-style parties to exist on their platform. And according to the complaint, an 11-year-old girl was reportedly groomed and assaulted after meeting someone through one of these virtual events. The connection between Diddy's name and the grooming of minors through gaming platforms sends a horrifying message about how abuse can now transcend real-life spaces and enter digital worlds, where children are often unsupervised and extremely vulnerable. The creator of this video on how dives deeper into the emotional toll these stories are having, especially for people who've lived similar lives. He shares his own painful journey of being trafficked as a teenager, explaining how being over-sexualized from a young age can rewire the brain and make victims more susceptible to manipulation, exploitation, and abuse. Later in life, when people are ignored or silenced, their trauma festers, often leading to substance abuse, homelessness, and long-term psychological damage. And the truth is, these cycles are not just tragic. They are systemic. They are being enabled by silence, by wealth, by celebrity worship, and by the very institutions meant to protect us, like hotels, schools, gaming platforms, and even charities that claim to work for children, but may in some cases be involved in much darker activities. The Roblox case highlights a terrifying reality that predators are using online games to gain access to children, and that even digital platforms are failing to keep young users safe, allowing dangerous content to exist unchecked. This isn't just about one man anymore. It's about a pattern, a machine, a system where fame, money, and influence are used as shields, and where truth only surfaces when survivors force the light onto the darkness, and more survivors are coming forward now than ever, and the stories are sounding eerily similar. The details repeating, the trauma recurring, the gaslighting ongoing, and the protection of abusers by institutions seemingly endless. This is Hololix, and the real story is only just beginning. What makes this even more painful to process is how many of these disturbing claims are being ignored by the public simply because the alleged victims are men, or because people refuse to believe that someone with Diddy's fame could be capable of such deeply coordinated manipulation. This new lawsuit hits hard because it goes beyond the celebrity scandal, shows us how broken systems enabled predators. When Michael came forward with his allegations, he reignited the narrative that Cassie had started, that multiple men and women had been used, coerced, drugged, and exploited under the shadow of Diddy's empire. Yet somehow this pattern of abuse kept being swept under the rug, and people kept pretending it was all sensationalism or revenge. This isn't just a celebrity case anymore. It's a reflection of how institutions, corporations, and social platforms fail to protect people, especially the most vulnerable and marginalized. The fact that luxury hotels could be working hand in hand with powerful men like Diddy to create safe spaces for abuse and then cover up their tracks by erasing footage and accepting cash payouts is horrifying. It shows that when money is involved, ethics often disappear, and the price of silence is too often paid by victims. Iwuko has demanded a jury trial. While legal experts doubt he will get it, the fact that he is even pushing for it shows immense courage, because what he is saying aligns with multiple others who have shared similar experiences. People are now looking back at other witnesses who testified in Diddy's criminal trial and questioning why only one male witness was brought forward, especially when so many more seem to be ready to speak up. Now, there is something incredibly unsettling about the idea that jurors, mostly male and possibly biased, never got to hear the full range of testimonies or see all the evidence, and this imbalance raises legitimate concerns about how justice is administered in celebrity cases. The prosecutor might have started strong, but they miscalculated the complexity of the case. The burden of proof became too heavy, and the inclusion of inconsistent witnesses like Jane ended up confusing the jury. When stronger, more consistent voices were left out, what this does is create a public illusion that justice was served, when in reality the truth might never have been fully revealed. Meanwhile, civil lawsuits are surfacing left and right, and each one tells a piece of the same disturbing puzzle. There's a reason why people believe these stories, because they are consistent with each other and they validate the trauma of the victims, including Iwako and others, who now feel empowered to speak out. But it shouldn't take years of silence, pain, and mental suffering for victims to be believed or even heard. And now, this new Roblox lawsuit brings an even darker layer to the situation. According to reports, an 11-year-old girl was allegedly groomed and assaulted after interacting with someone through a Diddy-themed game on Roblox. This is not just shocking, it is terrifying. It proves that online platforms are becoming new frontiers for abuse, and predators are getting smarter about how they access young, vulnerable children. The fact that a game referencing Diddy and involving party themes could even exist on a platform primarily used by children is outrageous, and Roblox now finds itself in the middle of a legal storm that will likely push the company to explain its safety policies and moderation failures. Many parents are horrified to learn that such content was even allowed to exist, and it's sparking a larger conversation about how difficult it has become to protect children in the digital age, because it is easier than ever for minors to be targeted through gaming platforms, school chats, social media, and other online communities. Especially when there are no real-time protections or live supervision, the emotional impact of these revelations is huge, especially for survivors who have lived through similar trauma and are now watching others go through the same pain. The creator of this report on Hololix shares his own raw and painful experiences of being trafficked as a teenager, explaining how being overtly sexualized from a young age destroys personal boundaries and makes it almost impossible to resist coercion later in life. His story is echoed by so many others who have not been as lucky to escape and have instead been lost to drugs, homelessness, or worse. And that's what people need to understand. These victims are not just names on court documents. They are real people with real scars. And they're not always women. Many are men, boys, even children, whose stories are ignored because society is uncomfortable with the truth and prefers to blame victims or minimize their pain. This lawsuit hits deep, not because it's about another celebrity scandal, but because it exposes how the system repeatedly fails survivors by prioritizing wealth, image, and influence over truth, healing, and justice. And while some argue that testimonies are not enough, without proof, the sheer number of similar testimonies all pointing to the same type of abuse should not be brushed off as coincidence. This is not cancel culture. It is about holding the powerful accountable and dismantling a network of silence that has allowed abuse to flourish for decades. And in many ways, it's a reminder to us all to take the protection of children seriously, not just by limiting screen time, But by staying involved, monitoring activity, having difficult conversations, and recognizing red flags, because predators don't just lurk in dark alleys anymore. They hide behind hotel doors, game screens, celebrity images, and they use charm and money to mask the evil they commit. So when Yuiko says he was trafficked, when he says he was drugged and coerced, when he says that these luxury hotels helped hide these crimes, we should be asking why this wasn't heard earlier, not doubting his story. The only way to move forward is by listening, by validating, by confronting, by protecting the next generation from facing the same horrors that so many have lived through. The message is clear: protect the young, speak the truth, and never stop holding the powerful accountable. And if this is what it takes for the world to open its eyes, then so be it. This is how, where the real stories get told and justice starts with truth.